was born in Tel Aviv. My childhood was painted in blue and white, the colors of the flag I was taught to worship. I was that child in school who corrected the teacher when she skipped a national anthem verse. I memorized the dates of every war. I knew the names of every general. Patriotism wasn't just in my heart, it was stitched into my DNA. At 18, like all of us, I was called to serve. But I wasn't just another soldier. My test scores were off the charts. I was offered something more, something elite. Unit 8200, intelligence, surveillance, control. From behind a desk with headphones on, I watched lives unravel. We weren't holding guns, we were holding secrets. Every call from Gaza, every whisper in a refugee camp, every sob from a mother holding her dying child, I heard it. At first, I told myself, this is for security, for survival, for us. But then came that night. A father's voice trembled through my headset. I could barely understand him through his sobs. His child had been hit. There was nothing left to save. And then he said it, words I didn't recognize but couldn't forget. Hasbi Allahu wa ni'ma al-wakil. I paused the recording. I replayed it, again and again. That tone. It wasn't anger. It wasn't revenge. It was surrender, dignity, peace. That shook me, more than any explosion I'd analyzed. What kind of faith gives you calm in the moment of loss? I wrote the words down phonetically. I didn't ask anyone. I couldn't risk it. But I searched, quietly, secretly, and what I found changed everything. I couldn't unhear that prayer. Hasbi Allahu wa ni'ma al-wakil. I wrote it on a small piece of paper and folded it into my uniform pocket. Every time I touched it, I felt a strange stillness, like someone was watching me, but not to punish, to comfort. That night, I went back to my base and opened a private browser. Muslim prayer in Arabic, meaning of Hasbi Allahu. Why do Muslims pray 5 times? I don't know what I was looking for. Maybe I wanted to prove that it was nonsense, that it was weak, but what I found instead was truth. The stories of prophets, the calm of the Quran, the idea that life isn't chaos, it's a test, that there is a creator watching, caring, rewarding, not just the powerful, but the patient. I would watch Islamic lectures under the covers, volume low, afraid someone would hear. My heart beat like I was doing something illegal. Maybe I was. In Israel, soldiers don't flirt with the enemy's faith, we destroy it. But every time I removed my uniform and looked in the mirror, I stopped eating pork. I began dressing more modestly. No one noticed. Not yet. But I had noticed. The war outside was nothing compared to the war inside me. They say Allah opens doors in the most unexpected ways. 2 weeks after my inner shift began, my unit was assigned to cooperate with an intel division in Brussels. Just a 2-week program, I didn't think much of it. Another trip, more data, but something inside whispered, "This is your chance." In Belgium, I felt air I hadn't breathed in years, not because it was cleaner, but because it wasn't under surveillance. There were no eyes on me 24/7. For the first time, I walked the streets alone. No uniform, no orders, no guns. And then it happened. I passed by a small mosque near the city center. I paused, not because of curiosity, but because I felt pulled. I stood at the entrance, trembling. What if someone sees me? What if this is a trap? But something told me, you've been dying inside. This is the only place you'll live. I stepped in. It smelled like calm. The carpets were worn but clean. A man looked at me, not with suspicion but with warmth. He didn't ask my name, he just said, "You are welcome here, sister. Are you looking for peace?" I couldn't speak. I nodded. That evening, I met a kind Moroccan woman named Amina. She gave me tea. We talked in English. I didn't tell her who I really was, only that I was searching. She smiled and handed me a translated Quran marked with a sticky note. "Start here," she said. "Surah Maryam. You'll find yourself." "Acha bere." And I did. I read it that night back in my hotel room. I cried again, but this time it wasn't guilt. It was relief. The next day I told Amina the truth. I'm an Israeli soldier, but I can't go back. She didn't flinch. She just whispered, "Then don't." It was just a room, 4 walls, 1 window, but inside that small prayer space in Brussels, something eternal happened. I sat beside Amina, her hands warm around mine as the imam quietly recited the words I had practiced the night before. Ashhadu alla ilaha illa Allah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadun Rasulullah. I said it, slowly, trembling, and suddenly I wasn't the same person. I wasn't Sergeant Yael Cohen anymore. I was Noor. Noor, light. A name I never deserved, yet one I finally longed to live up to. That night, I felt truly clean for the first time in my life, not because of water, but because something heavy had left me. I had no family by my side, no army behind me, but I had faith. I had Allah. But the world didn't pause for my transformation. I had only 5 days left in Belgium before my unit would fly back to Tel Aviv. I couldn't go back. I knew what would happen if I did. Prison, trial, disgrace, maybe worse. I told Amina everything. Her husband, a quiet civil rights lawyer, knew what to do. He connected me with an asylum officer. I applied for emergency protection under religious persecution. I handed over my military ID. I signed papers I didn't fully understand. I cut my ties with the army. I deleted every contact, and I disappeared. Those last 48 hours were terrifying. I couldn't sleep. Every time I heard a car outside the shelter, I thought, they've come for me. But they didn't. Instead, I was granted temporary asylum. I moved into a small Muslim women's hostel run by Turkish sisters. I had nothing. No money, no citizenship, no legal status yet. But every night I whispered, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is enough for me. And he truly was. A year later, I walked through Hyde Park in London, not as a soldier, not as a fugitive, but as a woman wearing her hijab with pride. I worked at a refugee center now, helping women who fled war zones, some Syrian, some Afghan, some from places even I had once been deployed to. The irony wasn't lost on me. Every now and then, I'd hear my old name whispered on international news. Former Israeli soldier disappears in Europe, suspected of espionage or desertion. They had no idea. I hadn't vanished. I had woken up. One afternoon, I gave a talk at a local university. The topic was Identity Beyond Borders. I stood at the podium, a scarf wrapped neatly around my head, and said, I used to wear a uniform and follow orders without asking why. But now, I follow something far greater, truth. I found Islam not in books, not through friends, but in the silence of a mosque, far from home. My name is Noor, and I used to be your enemy. The room was silent. Then someone clapped. Then another. And soon I realized this wasn't the end of my journey. It was the beginning of a mission. Today, Noor shares her story through interviews, helping bridge understanding between Muslims and non-Muslims. She still receives threats, still lives under a pseudonym, and still avoids countries where her past might catch up to her. But she has no regrets. Not one. Because in losing everything, She found the one thing that can't be taken away: faith.